Hello and welcome back to the course on blockchain. And today we're going to talk about how wallets work. So we've already built a basic understanding of transactions. And slowly, hopefully it's getting better and better with the more examples we look at. We start with transactions and UTXOs, then we added on fees, and we had a look at a couple of those. And today we're going to bring everything together from the perspective of the wallet, and it'll give us like a 10,000 foot view on what's happening, and hopefully that will really drive the point home of how transactions work on blockchains and how they're different, very different to what we're used to with banks. All right, so let's have a look. We're going to draw up our blockchain here. So this is like going from bottom to top. That's like block 501, 504. Maybe there's more blocks higher up, doesn't really matter. And we're going to allocate or like see where those transactions are actually sitting in our blockchain. So those ones that we started with originally in our examples in the previous tutorials, let's say they were sitting in block 501. Then when I purchased the bike in the bike shop at the first bike, that went to block 502, and also the transaction for the second transaction that went into block 502 as well. Then the more transactions that came along, they were in 503, and then in block 504, again, I went shopping for a bicycle. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to look at how a wallet comes up with a value, a balance value. Because from what we've discussed, it's interesting that there isn't actually a balance value in a blockchain. A blockchain is, you can see there's nothing to say a balance for any kind of person. It just has lists and lists of transactions in every single block. That's all there is. But nevertheless, when you log into your cryptocurrency wallet, you see a balance which says you have this many Bitcoins, or you have this much Ethereum, or you have this much Litecoin. Where does that balance come from? Does the wallet store that balance? Is there like a centralized system? Well, actually, no. The wallet actually, what it does is it calculates your total UTXO that's available to you, and it shows you that, and it calls it the balance. So let's have a look at how this happens. We're going to, in order for that to happen, the wallet will need to go through all of these transactions, the whole blockchain, and pull out your remaining UTXOs. So let's do that with our examples in mind, what we know about what happened. So in the first case, when I went to spend money, I went to buy a bicycle. And this is what happened. I took this transaction, 0.6 BTC from Helen, and I split it into paying for my bike and sending 0.1 back to myself. So these two that we see here. So we're going to draw that here. So you can see that this transaction this transaction had an unspent output of 0.6, but that unspent output got split into two, 0.5 and 0.1. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a big black square at the end of this transaction to signify to ourselves that this transaction has been spent. The output of this transaction has been spent, and we know exactly where it went. So we're just going to put a black box here. Okay, so let's look at day 2 when I went to buy the second bicycle. So second bicycle, I took some more unspent transaction outputs which I had. So if we find them here, this one from this one from Adlan, from Susan, and then this one over here which I got, and all of that spent to buy this bicycle. So let's draw that. So you can see, there we go, from this output from the transaction with Susan when she sent me money. So that goes in there. This transaction with Adlan, it goes in there, and the transaction with myself, this unspent output, goes in there. And so again, we're going to put like big black boxes at the end of these to show us that the transaction outputs have been spent here. Okay. And then day 3, when I went to buy the third bicycle and the Apple, which UTXOs did I use then? So I used this one, Adlan to me for 0.04 BTC. The eBay transaction, 0.03, and Adlan to me, 0.3 again. And all of those went into funding these purchases. Bike shop, fruit, and the change went to me. And remember, some of the money went to the fees, but that is reflected, as we saw, in the Coinbase transaction. So that doesn't have to be, it shouldn't be illustrated here. All right, so if we put that in here, we'll see that these three have continued on into newer transactions. They have acted as inputs into these transactions. So technically, it'd be better to draw the arrow going like this. You know, more logical, I guess, if it went to the start of these transactions. So as we could see previously in the previous tutorial, how they like feed into each other through that tree map. Tree diagram. All right, and so we're going to put 3 black boxes here. That means these are also used up. So what does the wallet do? Well, it does that analysis, so because you can see how they're linked up. And what then it'll do is it'll go through the blockchain, and I'll identify, well, by now it's probably already done that, identify all of the transactions which ended up in something coming to me, some output coming to me. So this one, 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 and this one. And then the wallet will see out of those transactions which ones still have UTXOs, which ones still have unspent transaction outputs. This one, and this one. So this one, because the other ones we can see they have black boxes, so we know that they've been used up. So only the ones without black boxes actually have UTXOs. And so all the wallet has to do now is just add up these amounts. Adds up these 3 amounts, and you get a balance of 0.26 BTC. And so that's what you see on your screen when you log in. But in reality, as you can tell, there is actually nowhere for this money there to be stored. In cryptocurrencies, there is actually no coins. They just don't exist. There's no paper, there's no coins, there's no even like ones and zeros, like numbers on an account somewhere. Like when you log into your bank, there's a number, and that is actually how it exists in the bank. It's a number, like, I don't know, you have $300 on your bank account. That means in the bank there is $300 like in an electronic ledger on your bank account. On a blockchain, this is for our convenience. It doesn't actually exist, this money, as a number in the blockchain. It exists as a combination of the UTXOs that you have available to you. And that's all it is. That's how wallets work. And hopefully this tutorial also helps solidify all that knowledge that we discussed, that we developed over the past couple of tutorials, how transactions work. This is a very important topic, and cryptocurrencies are really booming right now. A lot of people are like investing into different cryptocurrencies, and yeah, I really don't think that everybody who's doing that knows how they actually work. So I think this is important knowledge, if whether or not you're investing into cryptocurrencies or you're building one, especially if you're building one. It's important to know these things, important to know what you're actually dealing with, that it's completely different to the world that we used to, completely different to the world of banking. And yeah, hopefully now it's all clear, and we will proceed from here going into more interesting topics. Can't wait to see you on the next tutorial, and until then, enjoy blockchains.